All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. It is that time, folks. My key games for this weekend in the world of college football. I want to start off with the big one this Saturday at noon Eastern in Ann Arbor. You got the third ranked Texas Longhorns, now out of the SEC, traveling to take on the 10th ranked Michigan Wolverines, who are also the defending national champions. Now, you know things have changed for Michigan because why? When was the last time that you saw the Wolverines be a 7.5 point underdog on their home field? This is a big one, of course, between two of the four participants in last year's college football playoff. Of course, Texas lost in the semis to Washington, and of course, Michigan won the whole kit and caboodle. Now, Texas comes into this game with a lot of confidence there, and they're also no stranger to the big time non conference games. We saw Texas go to Bryant Denny last year and beat Alabama en route to getting to the college football playoff. The Longhorns once again have a very deep and talented team under head coach Steve Sarkisian, and it starts with quarterback Quinn Ewers. Will this Michigan defense be able to make number three in the white jersey uncomfortable? We've got to wait and see. Texas has had injuries at the running back position, but the Longhorns are still going to be running the football effectively with Jaden Blue. And for Michigan and head coach Sharon Moore, his Wolverines really didn't look that impressive last week against Fresno State. One can say maybe Michigan was looking ahead. Also, you have to look at the fact that Fresno State's got a pretty good team. Okay. So when it's all said and done, Michigan kind of got their sea legs last week. They stepped up defensively late to kind of seal the deal. But no disrespect to Fresno State, but Texas is more talented than them. And Michigan is really going to have to bring it if they are going to defend their home field this Saturday afternoon. Quarterback Davis Warren, what is he going to do against this Longhorns defense? And then, even though the Jim Harbaugh is no longer the coach, you know that the Wolverines are still going to be focused on running the football, which means you can expect a heavy dose of running backs Kalel Mullins as well as Donovan Edwards. Also, keep an eye on tight end Colston Loveland. Why? Because if Michigan can get their run game going, it's going to open up play action passing for Loveland. And then this Wolverines defense, they might not have the names that they had from the championship defense from last year, but still keep an eye out on the likes of Josiah Stewart rushing the passer. I'll say this. This game is going to be a very interesting one. I know the over under is 42 and a half. I'm going to take the over on this. And I think Texas is going to go out there and really try to flex their muscles. And I'm going to take the Longhorns on the road by 10 in this one, 37-27. Now, another interconference battle between the Power Four, as you have Arkansas out of the SEC traveling to Stillwater to take on the 16th ranked Cowboys out of Oklahoma State and the Big 12. And of course, this time of the year in the great state of Oklahoma, what do you expect? You expect the heat. It's going to be pretty warm for this one Saturday afternoon, 74 degrees at game time. You look at Arkansas, they got their first win of the season last week. And of course, one question is going to be, are the Razorbacks back? Okay. We know that they lost longtime quarterback KJ Jefferson in the transfer portal to UCF, but I said when they got Taylor Green, they really weren't going to skip a beat. I felt like Taylor Green was one of the more talented players in the Mountain West, and now he's showing it on a bigger stage. One thing is for sure, both of these teams are going to be focused on running the football, not just with Taylor Green at quarterback, but then Jaquindon Jackson. And then on the flip side, for the Cowboys, their offense is predicated by what Ollie Gordon is able to do. And like I said, coming into the season, if quarterback Alan Bowman can cut down on the turnovers for the Cowboys, Oklahoma State is going to be a force to be reckoned with. Keep an eye out for Cowboys wide receiver Dejon Stribling, as well as linebacker Nick Martin in this one. Oklahoma State rather, comes into this contest favored by 7.5. I'm going to take the under, but I'm still going to take Oklahoma State at home by the score of 34-30. Now, in Central New York, you've got the 23rd ranked Georgia Tech. Yes, that is correct. 23rd ranked Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. It's been a long time since we could say that the Yellow Jackets were ranked, but nonetheless, they're traveling to take on Syracuse. And of course, if you're Georgia Tech, this is a chance for you to get off to a blazing start. The Yellow Jackets are looking to start off 3-0 overall while also going 2-0 in the ACC. And of course, neither one of those two victories would have come at home. So the Jackets come into this contest favored by 3 points. And I think that this is going to be a very fun game because I think Syracuse is going to be a little bit better this year than some people might want to give them credit for. But nonetheless, with the Jackets, I love their running ability with running back Jamal Haynes and then also quarterback Haynes King getting the football to the likes of wide receiver Malik Rutherford on this Yellow Jackets defense. Keep an eye out for linebacker Kyle Efford. And like I said, for Syracuse, it's a new era with head coach Fran Brown. You bring in former Ohio State quarterback Kyle McCord, had a solid season opener last week against Ohio, and he's going to look to build off of that. Keep an eye out for running back LaQuint Allen as well as tight end Aronde Gaston II and linebacker Marlo Wax. Like I said before, I think this is going to be a very fun game on Saturday, and I'm going to take the Yellow Jackets on the road by the score of 34-27. Now, expect a defensive struggle when the Cy-Hawk Trophy is on the line, as you have Iowa State out of the Big 12 traveling within state to Iowa City to take on the 21st ranked Hawkeyes of Iowa. And of course, for Iowa State, they're looking to make it two in a row in Iowa City for the first time since 2002. This Iowa State offense, I think, is going to get better as the season progresses, of course, with Rocco Becht at quarterback, and then you have the likes of wide receiver Jalen Noel. Then I look at the Cyclones defense, especially in their secondary with Jontez Williams and Malik Vernon. Can they go out there and make life difficult for Iowa quarterback Cade McNamara? Now, this is a return of Kirk Ferentz as head coach of Iowa. He sat out last week serving that suspension. And of course, when you think about Kirk Ferentz at Iowa, you think about a very blue collar approach from his team, which means the Hawkeyes are going to look to establish a line of scrimmage with their running game and running back Caleb Johnson. And then, of course, leaning on their defense, which includes the likes of Aaron Graves on that defensive line and linebacker Jay Higgins. The over under for this one is 35.5. Iowa is favored by 3.5 points. And I'll tell you like this, the first team to 20, if either one scores 20, is probably going to win. I'm going to take the Hawkeyes at home by the score of 20-17. Now, another interconference matchup, as you have the 19th ranked Jayhawks out of Kansas and the Big 12 traveling to Champaign to take on the Fighting Illini of Illinois. And for Illinois and all you Illinois fans out there, the Illini are slated to wear their old school helmets. Me personally, I'm a fan of them. When it just says Illinois on the side with the underline, I think that's a classic look. In my opinion, I think that the Illini should go back to that look full time. But nonetheless, the Jayhawks come into this game favored by 4.5 points. And I'll tell you like this, just like it is with Arkansas and Oklahoma State and Texas versus Michigan as well, both teams are going to look to establish their run games and the line of scrimmage. You look at quarterback Jalen Daniels for Kansas, as well as running backs Devin Neal and Daniel Highshaw. And then, of course, when you think about the Illini and Brett Bielema, going back to his time as Wisconsin, it's all about running that football. Can Caden Fagan get it going to try to take some pressure off of Illinois quarterback Luke Altmaier? We have to wait and see. Cornerback Mello Dotson is one of the best defensive backs in the nation, and I think he has the potential to have an impact in this game. The Jayhawks are favored by 4.5, and I'm going to take Kansas on the road by the score of 31-27. Another interconference showdown. This time it's the ACC versus SEC variety in Charlotte, as you're going to have the 14th ranked Volunteers out of Tennessee traveling to take on the 24th ranked Wolfpack out of North Carolina State. And of course, you would expect NC State to have more fans in the crowd supporting them, but nonetheless, I guarantee you that the folks from Knoxville and the Smoky Mountain state of Tennessee will travel out. Quarterback Nico Iamaleva for Tennessee. He got his feet wet in his debut last week as a starter for the Vols. Can he build off of that? Tennessee under head coach Josh Heupel, they can bring it on offense. And you look at the likes of running back Dylan Sampson as well as wide receiver Deontay Thornton Jr. Now for NC State, it's all about Grayson McCall, the former Coastal Carolina quarterback for them. And then you have a talented offense for the Wolfpack, which includes running back Jordan Waters and wide receiver Casey Concepcion, as well as tight end Justin Jolly. This is going to be a fun game right here. The over under is 60 and a half, but I'm going to take the under slightly, and I'm going to go with Tennessee by the score of 31-27. Now, two teams that used to be conference foes for the longest time, no longer the case now, but you got Colorado traveling to Lincoln to take on Nebraska. This rivalry goes back to the good old days of the Big Eight. Now, for the Cornhuskers, they come into this contest favored by 7. Last year, Nebraska traveled to Boulder. They fell to Colorado by the score of 36-14. That game was close for the first half and a small portion of the second half before Colorado really opened things up. This Nebraska team is looking to show signs of improvement this year under head coach Matt Rule. And then, of course, they have the hype train right now for freshman quarterback Dylan Raiola. What's he going to do against this Colorado defense? And, of course, we saw how bad Colorado looked defensively last year. They really didn't look that much better last week against D2 North Dakota State. So what are they going to do against a D1 program this time around? Shador Sanders and this Colorado offense, I think, will score points. You look at Jimmy Horn and Travis Hunter at wide receiver, but Colorado still cannot run the football. They've got to prove to me, and they've got to prove to a lot of other people that they can run the football. I don't think they can. Nebraska has had this game circled for a long time, and I'm going to take the Huskers at home by the score of 34-24. And finally, a Mountain West versus Big Ten. Now, you got to get accustomed to this. We're saying Oregon in the Big Ten, but nonetheless, the Ducks, the seventh-ranked Ducks of Oregon, will host the Boise State Broncos. And for Oregon, they came into last week number 3. They struggled at home against Iowa, and of course, that dropped them down in the rankings. For me, I look at Oregon. They're favored by 21 and a half in this one. But please, please, please do not sleep on Boise and think that they're going to be a pushover. We saw this Broncos running attack have more than 300 yards on the ground last week against Georgia Southern, with the bulk of that coming from running back Ashton Jeanty, which means this Oregon defense is going to have to focus on him as they try to slow things down. Can Oregon's defense make Boise's offense one-dimensional? And will Maddox Manson at quarterback have to pick up the slack? We've got to wait and see. A lot of talent on this Ducks team, led by quarterback Dylan Gabriel, as well as running backs Jordan James and Noah Whittington, along with linebacker tight end Terrence Ferguson, and then defensively with the likes of linebacker Mateo Uongale. I'll tell you like this. Oregon comes into this contest favored by 21 and a half. They're going to have to pack a lunch in this one. Boise State's going to make them have to work for it. And again, if you're Oregon, you only scored 24 points last week against Idaho. But on the flip side, you can sit back and see, well, this Boise defense gave up 45 points to Georgia Southern last week. Like I said, Oregon's going to have to work for this one a little bit, but I'm going to take the Ducks to prevail at home by the score of 38-24. So, folks, those are my key games for this weekend in the world of college football. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank all of you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. I want to take this time out to thank all of you fine folks out there for tuning in. And if you have not already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Now, if you're on the X, formerly known as Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it will be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. Now, you can check it out. Drop a line and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. So once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin, and I am signing off. I'm saying take care and have yourselves a wonderful day.